What's up fam, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've watched my other video and you're now watching this one. If you haven't watched my other video, you should go and check that one out. It'll kind of explain what this channel is and what videos are going to be there. This video is going to be the podcast club that I talked about in that video. So in these kind of videos I'll be telling you about podcasts that I watched that I really loved for any reason, like if they were inspirational, if they were just really funny, or if I learned a lot from them. In this particular video I'm going to be talking about a Tony Robbins podcast. If you don't know who Tony Robbins is, he's a motivational speaker. Sorry, I have notes here on my phone about him. He's a highly successful motivational speaker for years now. He mostly does his speaking for business owners or people looking to start a business. He also holds very popular sermons and camps that you can go to kind of, if you have an issue going on, then you go there and it's really an intense session of you working through your issues and finding out what's going on. When you listen to him, it's in an interview format, he's interviewing someone else. When you listen to him, you can just tell that he's super humble and really modest, and he obviously knows how successful he is, but he doesn't feel like it makes him superior to anyone. He doesn't act superior to anyone. He has a lot of respect for other people and other achievers. I think he also says, he's started out by just wanting to help people in the best way that he can, and he's now so successful. He started from the bottom, just wanting to figure out how to help people by being a motivational speaker and helping them with their issues, and now he owns 18 companies, runs 12 of them, helps celebrities, athletes, business owners, like I said, billionaires, anyone that just needs help within themselves and also within their business, they go to Tony Robbins. So the title of this podcast, and where you can watch this podcast, I have an app called, I think it's called Overcast, and if you just go on there and it will come up, mine come up in my recommended, but if it's not there, you can search it. It's just called the Tony Robbins podcast. It goes for about an hour and 30 minutes, so I would say this would be a really good podcast to do if you've got a whole bunch of chores that you have to get through and you can't bother to listen to music, or podcasts are really good because you don't have to have, with a YouTube video, you can just have you have to sit down and watch it so you can kind of see what the person's doing in relation to what they're speaking about, whereas with a podcast you can just put it on and leave it and go and do whatever you want while it's on and you're just listening to it. And it's also really good, I find, if it's a really good way to relax whilst thinking about things, if that makes sense. I'll put on a podcast and I'll sit down and I'll colour, with my adult colouring book or something, so my hands are busy and my mind's busy, we're both thinking, and I'm really maximising my downtime. So yeah, I would highly recommend checking it out. So this podcast is titled How to Make the Decision to Do the Impossible. It's super inspiring and motivating. It's like the title says, it's about making an impossible decision / goal in your life and actually sticking to it and achieving it. So the person in the interview is called Siri Lindley. She started off as a student in Brown University, and she played, I think it was field hockey, lacrosse, and another sport that I can't remember, and she was struggling a lot with anxiety and self-doubt and not really feeling like she belonged anywhere because she couldn't really tell her own self-value because she was part of a team. And I'm not going to tell you all the podcasts, you guys can go and listen to it and hear her story for herself. She has some really amazing experiences. I'm just going to give you the rough outline of what she's going to talk about. And yeah, so she was struggling a lot with all of that, and then her friend asked her to come along to a triathlon that she was competing in, and she went, and she looked like she loved the sport from what she could see of it. She loved the fact that it was just one person and you were pushing them to their limits and testing them what they were capable of in all these different areas, and she just fell in love with it. So she went, okay, this is what I'm gonna do, even though she couldn't swim to save her life. She'd barely swum at all in her life, and she told her friend, she was like, this is what I'm gonna do and I'm gonna be really good at it, and her friend was like, oh my god, good luck, honey. But yeah, so she went and she trained, and then she participated in her first triathlon, and she completely, like, she bombed out, like, she did so bad, but she loved it. Like, she loved the experience of training and loved the sport especially. And she felt like when she was in the moment of doing the sport, she never thought about her anxieties or thought about her insecurities. Like, she was just completely focused on pushing herself to be the best that she could be. And even though she came like last, she obviously was disappointed, but like, she was happy that she went and did it, and she realized that this is what I want to do. And that failure, if you want to call it that, really spurred her on and really gave her the hunger to be the best at the sport. So yeah, she set up her mind. She was like, okay, this is it, this is what I'm going to do. Like, and she went pro. She eventually became like the #1 athlete in the world for 2 years running, which is incredible. To go from like nothing to that, like, that's crazy. And yeah, she just did amazing stuff. She has some amazing stories to tell. If you go and listen to the podcast, like, she's so interesting, and she's been through a lot in her life as well, so it's definitely worth listening to. She had like this crazy coach that definitely like pushed her to her limits physically and mentally, and it just like it did wonders for her. But it sounds crazy, like, from what she says, you're like, oh my god, I don't even know how human beings could do that. And yeah, listening to it, for me, it was quite inspiring. It was quite inspiring, the fact that she just like was like, okay, I'm doing this, and she just went and did it. Like, she just like, she just went, I'm gonna do it. And she was a triathlete. Like, obviously she went through a lot. It wasn't easy a path for her at all to get to that stage, but she did it. Yeah, another thing the podcast talks about is her struggles with like being herself and accepting who she really is, because she was gay for most of her career as an athlete, but didn't come out until like 10 years after she'd retired, and now when she was a coach, and she was even like engaged to a man at one point. And it was just because the pressure of the sport at the time, and the pressure of sponsorship deals and everything like that, really were telling her, like, you have to be straight, and you have to have long hair, and you have to have a boyfriend, because we need you to sell products, and like, gay people don't sell products, which is crazy. Obviously it was back then, so times were different, but it's crazy that she had to go through that and like really shut down who she was inside and not express that at all. But yeah, like, she's just super, like, listening to her talk as well, like, she's so wise. Like, she just knows what she's talking about. She's been through so much. Like, she's made so many, not like, she hasn't had so many failures, but she's had so many times in her life when an ordinary person would turn around and be like, I'm done, like, I can't do it anymore, this was too much. And she's just powered through them, and she's turned that into a hunger and relentlessness for success, and that's what really saw her through. And one of the quotes that actually Tony Robbins says, that there are some amazing quotes that you could take away from this and definitely apply to your life. Like, this isn't just the way, like, it is about her as an athlete, but there's so many ways that you could take it and you can apply it to your life. Like, Tony applies it to business owners. You can apply it to your life, like setting a goal and just doing it. There are so many things you can take away, but one of the things that I really loved was, Tony said, disappointment, it either destroys you or drives you, which I think is so important. Like, and it's so important to realize that as well, because what happens in your life, the way you look at it and the way you perceive it changes everything. Like, if you want to look at something and something bad's happened, and all you want to think about is how bad it is, then it's going to affect you negatively. But if you can try to change it around and try to, like Tony said, let the disappointment drive you to better things, and changing yourself, changing the situation, then you can really build foundations for a happy and successful life. And there's so many more important and well worth listening to quotes that are in there that I just think you should all go and check out. And definitely, you know, like, take some of the things away, and if you're setting a goal for yourself, then apply those things to that goal and do that for yourself, because it's just the most important thing you can do. Self improvement and self actualization is going to be like, it's really important for you as a person, especially when you're young. As you grow, like, it's really important to know who you are, and not know your like flaws, but know what areas that you need to work on to be a better person, because nobody is perfect. And I'm not saying you should be perfect, I'm not saying you have to be perfect, but I'm saying you should work. I think everybody should work to be the best possible person that they can be, both for for themselves firstly, and then for everyone else as a kind of second. Like, be the best person you can be for your family, for your friends, even for strangers that you meet on the street. Like, be the best you can be, because why would you want to be anything less? Okay, so that got really deep. I'll leave it there, because I really want you guys to go and check out the video. It's so inspiring, so motivating, so many different ways you can apply it to your life, and it's very thought-provoking as well. But yeah, so go and check out that video, that podcast. I believe it's just called Making an Impossible Decision, or something along those lines. It'll be by Tony Robbins, so if you search Tony Robbins, it'll come up. I think it was the most recent one posted by them. If you have any recommendations for any podcasts you want me to listen to and you want me to talk about here, leave them in the comment bar below. If you have anything you want me to talk about in particular, also leave that in the comment bar below, or you can tweet me, or you can comment on my Instagram, or tag me in anything that you want me to talk about. I'm happy to literally talk about anything, and then I'll talk about it in my next Let's Talk About video, which will be next week. The next video I'll be filming, hopefully, should be my Bella box unboxing, if it comes in time. Please, everyone, put their hands together, raise them to the sky and pray. But yeah, if you like this video, please like, comment. It would mean the world to me if you would subscribe, and you can get notified for future videos. And yeah, have an awesome day, and I'll see you guys in my next video.